Well, hello everyone. Ren here speaking. Today I would like to talk to you about the INFJ self. And I might as well warn you straight at the outset. There's going to be some psychoanalysis involved in this video, so be warned that we're going to go a little deep. We're going to go a little into hypothesis and conjecture, but this is what we're interested in. And if we want to understand the INFJ as deeply as possible, we need to take risks in some sense, and we need to not be afraid to explore deeply where it potentially hurts, where it's potentially controversial, and see where we end up. Okay, so the INFJ self, okay, is a fascinating topic because obviously it is in part defined by the compromise between authenticity and adaptation, okay? Just like any other person in the world, in order to function in the world, we need to adapt, okay? But if there's too much adaptation, we end up finding that we make too many compromises of our authenticity for the sake of adaptation, and so we lose ourselves. And I've explored in my books, particularly in my books, that authenticity is very crucial for the INFJ. It's often underappreciated as a quest. People tend to think that authenticity is an FI priority. I would argue that it is not an FI priority because FI enacts authenticity much more effortlessly as part of its own way of being, whereas authenticity is a problem for the FE user, particularly for the introspective and introverted FE user who's able to see that there is in fact a problem there, okay? If you want to know more about this, by the way, don't forget that you can get my book, The Infinite Soul, INFJ Life in the Modern World, explores these topics of authenticity and how to be flourishing in the world today in great detail. The link to the book is right below. Check the reviews. It's a good book. So the INFJ self with a capital S, is constantly trying to struck a happy, efficient, and productive compromise between the demands of adaptation. And we know that the makeup of the INFJ, the existential makeup of the INFJ is complex when it comes to adaptation because of alienation and severance and distance and haziness and all these concepts, which I have explored in this book, by the way, The Ecstatic Soul, a new look at the INFJ personality, which is the deepest investigation of the INFJ mind and what it's like to be an INFJ. So get this book as well at the link below. All these aspects that make it complex for an INFJ to relate to external reality are obviously going to be playing a role in the struggle with adaptation. And the key to adaptation in many ways resides in FE. FE because FE activates SE indirectly, okay? Because it's hard to engage SE directly for an INFJ given that SE is inferior, FE is mostly unconscious. So adaptation. At the same time, authenticity is kind of a fidelity to a vision, fidelity to worldview, where a worldview coming out of your particular psychic makeup is not disrespected in your everyday behavior. But your everyday behavior is also regimented to a significant extent by adaptation, which is crucial. And as we've just seen, adaptation takes a lot of energy for INFJs because INFJs are not necessarily the types most built to adapt easily. So a lot of energy is taken in adaptation. At the same time, we don't want to ignore authenticity, right? Adaptation, authenticity in some sense, okay? So if you like, the INFJ self is a conflicted self, right? It's a divided self, okay? It's not a divided self in the sense of the schizophrenic self, but if you allow me a slightly daring expression, there's a kind of metaphorical schizophrenia in the INFJ self. And this gets even a bit deeper when we start thinking about where is, in terms of your own development, right? where is the particular location of the most productive articulation of your INFJ self? Okay, where does it get formed? Where is the DNA of it located? And in what way are the mechanisms of adaptation at this early stage both working for it and working against it? Okay, and how to strike this compromise, I would like to call the construction of the INFJ self as a self embodied in the world that is both adaptive and authentic, a process of reflective equilibrium. Reflective equilibrium between the question of the authentic self and the question of the adapted self. Authenticity and adaptation are not functioning, if you like, in completely isolated manner. They're interacting in mutual cognizance of each other. And authenticity is always trying to react and redefine itself in relation to the adaptive process. And the adaptive process is always trying to redefine itself and update itself in reaction to the process of self-authenticity. So there is a reflective equilibrium that is taking place. And in fact, you could also view what I call the interstice, which is, is a concept or an image. It's kind of a conceptual image or an imagistic concept that is meant to convey this idea of how reflective equilibrium is most manifest, is most exacerbated at particular junctures throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year, where you get your normal subjective experience as an NI dominant, which is an oceanic experience, okay? If you're in a state of flow, you'll notice that with a particular rhythm of INFJ flow or of INTJ flow is oceanic. Coming into collision with the regimented reality, the super egoic reality out there that is demanding that we adapt to it, and it's not oceanic. So we need to strike this compromise, the reflective equilibrium between the regimented non-oceanic exterior and the oceanic interior, between adaptation and authenticity. And the moments of highest potential for hitting equilibrium points are the interstices. Okay, now in the next video, I will look a bit more deeply into this question that I already brought up earlier in the video about the location of NI authenticity. Where does it get formed? At what stage in our lives? And how can we reconnect to it and understand its relationship with our own mechanisms of defense, which mechanisms of defense have much more to do with adaptation. Don't forget, guys, that I have a Patreon page, okay? And your support is massively appreciated. It's not just appreciated, it's crucial for the survival of this channel. In order to be able to continue producing high quality content, Patreon is one of my main sources of income for the channel. And thanks to the generosity of a number of supporters already, we are getting bigger as a community. We have a Discord server, it's a big perk, where you can interact with me directly and with the others, get informal typings and so on. Access to bonus videos of going even deeper every 2 weeks, other perks. So there's a link below if you'd like to support my work so we can continue on this journey together. You can click the link. In the meantime, see you tomorrow, guys. Bye-bye.